Hello everyone and good afternoon. I'm Don Arleth and you're watching World News coming to you live from Warsaw. We start off by going live, looking at some live images at the presidential palace where President Paweł Wroński will soon hold a National Security Council meeting. Of course, this will get underway and we will come back to it when that time comes. The spokesman for Poland's foreign ministry, Paweł Wroński, confirmed on Thursday that 3 Polish citizens had been released from prison in Belarus, where they had been held as political prisoners. Wroński said that 8 staff members of the Belarusian TV channel operating in Warsaw had also been freed. The Polish journalist Andrzej Poczobut, a vocal critic of the Belarusian regime, was not on the list of released inmates. He was arrested in Belarus in 2021 and sentenced up to 8 years in prison.
Among the 52 prisoners released in Belarus and included on the list, there are 3 Polish citizens, including individuals sentenced to long prison terms, as well as 8 Belarusian citizens who were journalists and staff members of Belarusian TV and other Polish media, whose release was also pursued by the Polish Foreign Ministry. We hope that the next group of released Belarusian prisoners will include Andrzej Poczobut, who is among our top priorities. Polish diplomats are making every possible effort to secure his release.
In his Thursday address to Parliament, Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz described the Russian provocation from Wednesday as a test for the Polish government and authorities. He thanked Poland's partners, including NATO allies involved in the air defense operation, as well as the armed forces of Ukraine for their support and close cooperation with Poland in that trying time.
NATO has passed the test. NATO did not yield to Russian aggression. NATO has shown its unity. This was a test conducted by the Russian Federation, a test of our national unity as well as our political responsibility. We passed that test. In the past, we have not always succeeded. In some instances, political interest outweighed security. In this case, and in every future one, the strategy of Polish officials working together regardless of political affiliation will prevail. All of our other efforts, such as the closure of airports, were taken to ensure that our civil aviation remained safe. Airports in Warsaw, Modlin, Rzeszów and Lublin were closed, and the airspace was restricted to allow aircraft, both helicopters and fixed-wing machines, to operate without hindrance. Searches for the downed drones are currently underway. Ground search and rescue and explosive ordnance disposal teams have been deployed to locate the wreckage.
At Poland's request, the United Nations Security Council will convene an extraordinary meeting, the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs said on the social media platform X. It's just been announced that the meeting will take place on Friday at 9 p.m. Central European Time.
The request follows Russia violating Polish airspace with drones the night before. The Polish military called the incident an act of aggression, which posed a real threat to public safety. In the overnight operation, Poland, backed by NATO allies, shut down multiple incoming Russian drones. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that Poland invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty, calling for emergency consultations among allies when a member's security is threatened. Drone fragments have been found in multiple parts of Poland, and some of the debris caused damage to civilian infrastructure.
Russia's drone incursion into Poland was not only a test of the country's air defenses, but also a probe into how Warsaw can rally support from its allies. That was the major takeaway from the debate in the European Parliament on Thursday morning. The session focused on 19 suspected drones that crossed into Polish airspace from Russia. Our EU correspondent Angela Skujins has more from Strasbourg.
Members of European Parliament expressed their solidarity with Poland during an hour-long debate in the plenary in Strasbourg on Thursday. Now, this item was added last minute after the news came in late Tuesday evening, early Wednesday morning, that Polish airspace had been violated by a spate of Russian drones that was subsequently shot down. Now, TVP World managed to speak to one of the incidents instigators behind this item being added to the plenary agenda last minute. This is Polish MEP Patrick Jaki from the European Conservatives and Reformists group. He said that this was added due to a majority of members of European Parliament stressing that this is of importance not just to Poland's security, but of the security of the whole European continent. TVP World managed to speak to one of his party colleagues outside of the hemicycle about what must come next beyond this dialogue.
Debate, we have a many debate. What's happening in the future? Debate must have the conclusion, and this is important.
But this groundswell of support was not isolated to just the European Parliament. We heard various senior EU executives express their support to the Central European country as it attempts to navigate itself out of this crisis. We know that NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on Thursday visited European ambassadors to express the need to identify capability gaps as well as scaling up defence spending targets from 2.5% to at least 5%, as was identified at the most recent NATO military summit. This will ensure that all of the NATO military alliance members' security architecture is secure to rebuff future incursions such as these, as well as deter future Russian military aggression. We also know that the EU High Representative and Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas circulated a statement late Wednesday evening in which she identified this attack as not incidental but deliberate. What must come next is concrete action. And what is clear is that European allies are coming to support Poland shoulder to shoulder. We need to see what that support will resemble across the transatlantic from the United States. But what is clear, particularly from the hemicycle, is that MEPs from across the political divide stand with Poland. Angela Skujins from Strasbourg for TVP World.
Latvia will close its airspace along the border with Russia and Belarus starting this Thursday at 6 p.m. through at least September 18th, according to local media reports citing the country's defense minister, Andrzej Poczobut. The decision comes in response to the recent events in Poland and upcoming joint Russian-Belarusian Zapad military exercises. Poczobut also expressed that the army has been on high alert since last week to strengthen Latvian air, information, and cyber defenses, despite no activity from Russia's Zapad exercises recorded near the Latvian border so far. Poland's border crossings with Belarus will remain closed until further notice, according to the Polish Interior Ministry.
It was initially announced on Tuesday that the border would be shut from Thursday ahead of the annual Zapad joint military exercises by Russia and Belarus, which are set to begin on Friday. Officials said it showed Warsaw's readiness to take radical action amid a deteriorating security situation on its eastern border. After Russian drones breached Polish airspace early on Wednesday, the Polish Interior Ministry said the border crossings will remain closed until further notice.
And that concludes this edition of World News, but do stay tuned because News in Depth is coming up next.